Hi, and welcome back to PÖFF TV. I'm Miia, and we're right in the heart of the Black Nights Film Festival here in Tallinn. Today we have an amazing guest joining us. I have with me the brilliant director behind the film Kontra. Let's give a big warm welcome to Jonas Risvig.
Thank you very much.
Yes, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good. Very excited to be here. This is the first festival that I attend to with this film, so this feels like a beginning. It's very nice to be here.
Very exciting. So, was there a personal experience or event that you would say prompted the creation of this film?
Yeah, I mean, in Denmark, it's a very small country, but still there's a lot of differences between going attending at high school in the part of Jutland where I'm from, in the part of Denmark. The big part of Denmark is called Jutland, and that's where I'm from. And this film takes place in the opposite part of Denmark, where it gets much more posh and high class, and there's a lot of rumors and tales and stuff about this region of the country, especially the young people living there, and how they are having a way different culture from where I'm from. So the specific event that kind of made me dive into this was knowing and thinking about that. Okay, there is a certain group of young people in my own country that are having a way different upcoming than myself, upgrowing, and I wanted to be. I want to find out what it's all about. I think you have these communities all around Europe where you have these very rich families having their children and young people attending at these very specific private schools, and they have all these kinds of ways of always controlling each other and having a certain hierarchy, and it's way different from where I'm from. So I was very curious about finding out is it what they say it is, or is it maybe it's getting are we as different as I think we are, or are we more similar or close to each other than I hope we are?
Yeah, so maybe tell me a little bit about the character development for this film. A lot of the characters are driven by group mentality a lot, but they still all come from different backgrounds and experiences. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about that and how you came up with this constellation of characters in particular.
Yeah, so I had this idea that instead of having so we definitely have these two girls. They are the main protagonists, but we also have a big group of girls who are a big group of girls that are kind of controlling the culture and the parties and what's going on this school. And I thought it would be very interesting to see them as one character, but as a group. So it's kind of a group that constantly evolves, and it's constantly conflicting within itself. And in this group, there's a lot of smaller conflicts and things going on all the time, and it was very challenging because this is a low budget film. So just the thing about getting a lot of characters in front of the screen. Most filmmakers who are doing films on this budget know that it's very difficult to not just do a film with two characters when you have such a small budget. But it was very important for me to show the group dynamic because it's such a big part of the themes and the whole story about this film. And all of those characters and all of the people playing them are all from the real neighborhoods. So I kind of took as much from reality that I could, and kind of took all of the right people from the right place to really also force myself to make it as close to reality as possible, because now I had all the real people there. So if I did something that was wrong or not true to reality, they would tell me, this is not how it would be, this is not how it would look like. And so it was a way to force myself to make it as realistic as possible.
So did they share their experiences with you? Did you use that in the film, or? Yeah,
definitely. So the whole film starts off by a scene where you have these rules where if you are the first year student, your dress needs to go to a certain place, and if you're second grade, it's something else, and if you're third grade, So my main character Anna, who plays Lilja, the girl with the blonde hair, she was one of those girls who walked around with the scissor at those parties to kind of control where the dresses should be at the new students. And she told me, you should definitely implement this into your film. And I was like, okay, let's start the whole film off by doing this. So I had so many insights from these people to really make the story more, I don't know, especially in Denmark, locally, more realistic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How did Danish teens cope with this immense pressure they face from their peers in school, having to, I don't know, prove themselves constantly?
Yeah. It's difficult, especially because there's such a big difference between boys and girls in Denmark. Most of the boys don't talk about problems, and they don't really have a language developed yet for talking about how they're feeling and what they are dealing with. For girls, it's much more outspoken, but still there's a lot of taboos. So with this film, I wanted to be very clear about talking about eating disorders, because you have them everywhere in Denmark. It's a very, very big thing. But we don't talk about it. So for this film, I really wanted to touch base on that topic without having the whole film being about that. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the big key factors in making the film. Also, being a bit I have no adults in the film. There's one dad, and you have him for 1 minute, I think, in total throughout the whole film. Because in Denmark, it's very common that it's always the parents or the teachers that will speak on behalf of the young people about how they're feeling and what kind of troubles they have. For this film, I really wanted to show all of the problems that are actually all the problems that starts in the environment of just the young people, actually problems they can control by themselves. Because we always talk about social media or the government or politics and blah blah blah, but the things in this film that are making people not having a good time in high school or having problems are all things that young people are actually able to cope with by themselves. This is group pressure. This is bullying each other, and all of this stuff are not made from social media or the government or politics. And I wanted to make a film that kind of drew that aspect into the table also.
You talked a little bit about eating disorders. Yeah. Would you say that the portrayal of eating disorders in this film differs from other films of this kind?
Yeah, I think for this film I wanted to portray eating disorder in a way that was very common for most of the population. Mm-hmm. So a lot of films tend to take the eating disorder and then they will go with the 1% most extreme character. So we will show how bad it can go, and we will show it go all the way down the rabbit hole. I wanted to show the eating disorder that most families in Denmark would be okay, we know someone who's a bit like that. Mm-hmm. To make a bigger impact without going too deep into it. Because I have a feeling that when you're communicating with this specific audience, it's very difficult to make a too specific story about a certain illness or theme, because you have a big amount of people that would be that's not how I feel, or that's not how I want it to be portrayed. So I wanted to portray it in a way that you couldn't really be in opposition of. You couldn't really be against it. It should be a way where most people would get something out of it without going too deep.
Yeah. So where are the main characters' parents while all of this is happening in the film?
The funny thing is, whenever I ask the young people that I work with, especially in this area or especially in this film, they tend to say that their parents and the school teachers are mostly they are just some extras in their life. Oh. They'll talk to them when they need to, they'll use them when they need to, but they don't have to. So they are floating around, these young people. And I wanted with this film to show both how much is happening without parents knowing, but also not having the parents as a reason why all this is happening. Mm-hmm. So in some of my previous work, I've had relations with parents and their children, and I would use the parents to clarify, okay, this is like this young girl or boy are not having a very good life right now because of their dad or mom. But then I'll point out that this is the reason why things are going wrong. It's because of the parents.
Yeah.
And with this film, I wanted to not blame like the parents. I just wanted them to not be there.
Yeah, but what do you think? How could family members support these young people who are having these issues, especially when they're kind of not in their life at all, like a big part of their life?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not a parent yet, so it's very easy for me to say. But I would say that listening and listen and forgive. I think that would be like the two biggest achievements as a parent, but also just as a human, just to listen and forgive. And I think we need more of that everywhere right now. And that's what I want to do with my films. I want to do films where we kind of make a room to listen to some characters that might, from the outside, seem very difficult to connect with. Listen, understand them, and forgive them for all of the things they've done. And I think that's the way we need to go.
Yeah. What would you say was the biggest challenge with this film?
Definitely the aspect in terms of economy. So doing a low-budget film in Denmark, it's very difficult. I'm pretty used to it because most of the things I've done has been for like no budget or low budget production. So this was the first time I had to do something to, I needed to figure out how to make a low budget film feel like something that a very difficult young audience would pay money to go and watch. How do we actually get them to buy the ticket and not just wait for it to come out on streaming?
Yeah.
That was very difficult. So we kind of did a lot of stuff with, obviously the cinematography, but also just like the whole soundtrack and how to, we had so many characters in front of the camera, and we tried really to make it as a very big living universe with a lot of people in it. And I think it worked out very well, but still it's very difficult to get the young people to go to the cinemas in Denmark. So that was the big challenge, and it has been also now just like marketing the film and getting people. Most young people in the comments, they are like, "We'll just wait for it," and but we managed to get a lot of them into the cinemas as well. But it was very difficult. Yeah, spent a lot of time on it. More time on the marketing actually than being in the editing room, and that's the crazy thing about doing films, that you spend so much time just promoting. Yeah. But it's worth it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing some insights about your film.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for tuning into PÖFF TV, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.